Yeah. Honestly,
Yeah,
we
we can go
got
live. Ain't no thing. I don't mind
to
either
go.
or. Ain't no thing with
Okay.
chicken wing.
All right. Here we go. All right. Intro.
Uh,
Welcome,
hey,
everyone. Welcome back to the
how's-
Cosmic Chicks episode 4. Woo
woo,
woo. Woo woo. So
four,
today we're going to be
four for
exploring.
foundation, Heather. Four for foundation.
Yes. Yes. Today we're going to explore our 6 psychological gift types, patterns that repeat across lives, cultures, and childhood, and the inner worlds that are not discussed or they're not diagnosed either. Okay, a lot of times. And the archetypal intellects, the subtle ways the mind stretches beyond the normal cognitive frequencies. We're going to be deep diving a little bit tonight.
Let's deep
And like
dive.
all gifts, right? And Sam can contest to this, like all gifts,
Yes.
they carry a shadow part, and that part we can elevate or crush you, and depending on whether we recognize it. So that is what we're going to be diving right in. Now, before we get started, we're going to go ahead and just do our intro videos of what we have going on. First, we're going to go ahead and start with Sam's video of what higher
Yay.
self healing has
Let's get
going.
down to business. Give you one more night to get this.
Hang on one
We've
second.
had a million nights.
That was fine. Hang on one second.
Just like
Boop. Hang on. Let's let it start over. Tech issues. There
let's
we
get
go.
down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night.
Yeah.
All right. Give a big shout out to Samantha at Higher Self Healing. I'll give you the reins. So you can tell us a little bit about what you got going on this week, love.
Well, before this, I mean, this will happen after this air, but me and Heather, we're going to be this Saturday from 10 to 4 p.m. at New Thought Unity Center. This is at 1401 East McMillan Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45206. So that's November 22nd, tomorrow, Saturday from 10 to 4. So not so bad of a week. My guys really wanted me to relax and chill. And there's a couple events that I didn't go because my guys were like, girl, you need to simmer down. So that's what I did.
Tis the season.
To the
Tis
season
the
to be
season.
jolly, simmer down.
Yeah. Now, you do a Mystic Mondays as well, and that's each week, correct? You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's not each week. It's every other Monday.
Okay.
And the next one is going to be December the 1st. It is at the Sanctuary of Spiritual Healing in Cincinnati, Ohio. That address is 3308 Work Road, 45211. Everybody's welcome. If you're just new to this and have an open mind and you just want to explore and have a different experience in expanding your gifts, no matter if you're from beginning or you're a well-seasoned seer, reader, everyone's welcome. And we all sit at we all hold hands together, and this is a no judgment zone. So we encourage and we validate and we uplift our gifts. And this is at 6:30, but doors close at 6:45. You have any questions, just give me a text at 513-374-6929. We
Awesome.
Yeah, and at the same building on Tuesday nights, same time, 6:30, we have a Reiki share, um, beautiful healings, uh, and the doors close at that at 6:45 as well. Heather, what do you got going on?
Okay. Well, of course, we have the market tomorrow.
Yay!
And Sunday, I have a breath and plunge class where we're going to be doing breath work and cold plunge bright and early, just to kind of release anything that needs to be released and kind of
Oh,
bring ourselves into the present moment, as Sunday is the beginning of the work week. So,
I feel those.
yeah. And then I'm also
Ooh,
doing a 10 cure class.
yes. So
Yeah,
check
yeah,
her
and then we're
out.
doing a medicine making class. Yes, super excited about that. And then Wednesday, starting in December, my schedule at the Wellness Center, 6 Kyson Street, Dayton, Ohio, 45426. We're going to be doing yoga Mondays and Thursdays in the evening. We're going to be doing restorative yoga on Monday. Thursdays, we're going to be doing katana yoga, basically trying to burn some of that excess energy off as we go into the weekend.
Love it.
And of course, we have Sunday, the rest and breath class, where we're just relaxing, going full restorative mode. And then Wednesdays, we're going to be doing a wellness sound bath Wednesdays. And
Yes.
that's all going to be starting in December, as I'm going to be bringing more opportunities to the Sanctuary Wellness Center, Temple of the Heart here in Dayton. It hosts anywhere between 6 to 10 people, depending on the class.
Makes
But
it very
super
personal.
excited about that. Yeah. And then in December, I am going to be the 15th through the 21st. I am going to be doing a healers market with one of my girlfriends here in Dayton. So that was kind of a good opportunity that I was super excited to be a part of, and that I'll have more details about the event. But that should be like a week long event that'll be local here at one of the vendors' locations. So, really excited about that. And I do have just a couple, I'll go ahead and do my boop boop video real quick.
So if people are interested in your class, Heather, how do they access it? Is that virtual?
I will give that. We'll go over this and I'll give all that here in 1 second, okay? Because it has all the details. Yep. So this is basically all the events that I have coming up, and kind of brief detail. And then I will give you all the details of how to sign up. Here we go. All right. Now, how you sign up is all the events are on Eventbrite, and they're also on Facebook. So you can find them on Facebook. And I have been doing a little bit of marketing on Instagram. I'm not so much familiar with Instagram, but obviously it's something that I need to work on. So, and then of course, yeah. And of course, you can always text me 937-751-0031. Now, that seems to be about all the good events that we got going on. So, I just wanted to dive back into our session and then we'll set our intentions, Sam.
Yes.
But as Jung taught, there's a lot of gold in the shadow. We're taught to not accept, to love, to push it down, to not honor it, and that it's some big, dirty, dark secret, even though it's a facet that most of us have felt, experienced, and we all have one. Every one of us. I study human design, and if you go in and look at your sequences, every one of your gene keys in your human design has a shadow, a gift, and a city, which is the awakened, elevated embodiment of this gene key. And the gifted mind, if left unattended, becomes its own worst enemy. And
Oh,
Sam, you know, I'm going through my spiritual awakening.
yeah.
I was like, what is going on? Like, I see everything and I hear everything and I feel everything. And,
Mm-hmm.
um, but once you understand it, it becomes your destiny. And I've come to learn to embody it, but it was scary. So that's what we're going to be diving in tonight is basically the different types of gifts that intuitive has. Because there are different ones, like we all see, feel, like last week we talked about the five clairs. So
Yeah.
this will actually go into a deeper layer or threshold of each one of these five gifts and some of the things that the individuals struggle with. Because no one, you know, everyone wants to be positive Patsy. But in reality, in order to do that, you have to learn the embodiment phase, right? You got to learn to be like, okay, you know, there's something here that, you know, and that's what we're going to dive right in. So did you want to go ahead and set us off and maybe tap us
Yeah.
into our intention setting and
Absolutely.
we'll dive right in?
So we're gonna start with our intention, and everyone get your little wiggles out. Uncross your feet and arms and legs, unless you're in yoga pose. Take a slow, deep breath from the bottom of your stomach. Move that chi up. Here we go. Be aware of your breath, that you are in this present moment with Cosmic Chix, with Heather and I, divinely aligned for a higher purpose. Slowly breathe that out, bringing you into the present. Feeling that energy in your heart, because we do this from the heart and we magnetize that energy. And we honor and respect ourselves first. We honor and respect these high vibrational wisdoms being channeled from our ancestors, angels, guides, and infinite and beyond that we can even process. But we only call in those high vibrational energies from the 12th dimension and higher. Put it in your heart. Have an open mind. Give yourself love. And as Heather and I are honored and privileged to be connected with your energies in our sacred portal with the Cosmic Chix, that this is a safe place where you are loved and protected. Now blow that energy down into your heart. As it comes out, so be it is, so be it is done. And perfect.
Oh, thank you, Sam. We're going to give you applause.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So thank you so much for bringing us into our intention for this podcast. That's really important for us to set a safe foundation and structure for us to be able to communicate this wisdom because it can be sensitive. And I feel that it's a great opportunity for us to help a lot of our fellow brothers and sisters with this wisdom. So, all right, so let's begin. So it looks like the first one is the intuitive dissident. Okay. So the intuitive dissident, the gift is they feel the truth before it's spoken. So pretty much, lack of better words, they have a bullshit meter that they can read almost immediately. So yeah. And some of these people, some of the gifts you can carry one, two, multiple, or all of them. And again, as I spoke about earlier, depending on whether you recognize the shadow part of it so that you can elevate it. For me, I was so disappointed because I would see the truth in people and then it would happen and then I would be mad at myself because I didn't follow my gut.
Understand.
So yeah. So it says, and one of the gifts is that you sense when something's off or when people are honest and when a system doesn't make sense. And they're the ones who don't follow the crowd because their inner compass refuses to lie.
Man.
Ooh, bam. This is fun.
Too.
Yeah. So what's your experience with this one, Samantha? What is your feels on the intuitive dissident?
I mean, I definitely read this. Like, I feel like my whole life I can recognize and feel things when they're dishonest. Like it's just like a higher seeing and knowing, right? And I've learned just in this human experience that sometimes gets you burned when you say something. So what I do is I like to be a spider on the spider web, and I like to sit back and watch and let it play out. I'm like,
that's
okay.
good advice.
I see you, but I'm not gonna. This is your lesson, not mine, and I'm not gonna interrupt it.
Love it.
Yep, I'm not gonna interrupt it. I'm gonna watch it play out, and you know what? It's not messing with my energy, but I'm aware of who you are and how you move and how you flow and what are you doing, because the old version of Sam would have called it out and it end up getting me burned, or they would make the situation bigger by like, we don't know what you're talking about, right? Or
that's exactly and Carl Jung talks about it.
Guys are saying it will backfire because I'm messing up. It does. And I'm not supposed to be. I'm supposed to be like, okay, I see it, but I'm not stirring that pot.
That's good because I'm learning that because with your Pisces sun, your channel, like it allows for the free flow. Like my moon, I want to hold on to some of it. So I have to be careful of what I'm seeing because depending with the environment I've learned a lot. I used to absorb the environment because I didn't know that my vessel was open and that I was really absorbing people's energy.
Right.
And basically I would know what was going on and then I would feel bad because I said something and I would always speak up and I would always lose a friend, or it was like some of the group that I was around, the fact that I would be like, oh, I see you. They kind of would, they could small talk, I guess. And, and some of the stuff I'm just like, ugh. And it did. And it caused a lot of, and it doesn't anymore because I'm learning not to become involved and I'm learning to detach and be the observer, because it was the ego, the one that wanted to judge. And Virgo is the worst inner critic ever. Like we are so harsh on ourselves. But what happened is, a lot of times they would convince me that what I was seeing wasn't true, but when it played out, I'm like, well, I told you exactly what was going on. You didn't listen, and you thought I was, and
because you called
they
them
did.
out. You called them out, and they don't want to see themselves, so they're going to flip it back on you.
Yes. Yeah. And the shadow is rebellion without clarity. And I've done a lot of that in the past, like when I was not realizing it, in isolation, because it's safer to be in isolation than it is to go out and to be a part of a community and have to wear a false mask and feel like you have to lie in order to feel accepted or welcomed in the room. And these are real the gifts are, in the moment, it's hard because you don't know whether it's rejection.
Yeah, but before you don't view them as gifts, right? Oh, where'd you go, Heather?
I got it. My bad. I had the wrong button. I'm not going nowhere.
We were getting information from a different dimension to come back and share.
But yeah. So, and then people dismiss them as difficult, which I've been that, contrarian, or unstable. I've been all of those, and now I've learned to accept what I see before it gets to that point.
Yeah.
Like that's been like, at first I would have to go through that grueling experience and watch it all play out, and then sit in it and then be all like, I knew it was going to happen, but I just didn't, I just really thought that it was going to be different. But
you're
like,
also a disturber. You're going to break down and disturb the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you're just not realizing that they're just picking up the subtle energies and emotional inconsistencies that most people overlook. And that's all it is. It's pattern. It's kind of like pattern recognition. Now, so when it's refined though, so when I first went through my experience, I was talking to Samantha, like, I know it's true, but my gut's saying it's true, but I was kind of having a conflict between the head and the heart, and they have to be in agreement. And that was a big part of me between embodying the gift and operating through the gift, right? Because just because you have the gift and you're operating it doesn't mean you're fully embodying it.
Well, it was still, I'm being told it was still integrating. My guys were saying that you were still integrating.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, whoa. Yeah. Yeah. So, but when it's refined, the dissonant, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sam.
You said
I was just, so when the refine, the dissonant becomes the path breaker, someone who rewrites the rules, exposes illusions, which this is why Heather couldn't do insurance and why I don't do corporate America anymore. And we're here collectively, Samantha and I are here to usher in new ideas, new ways of being, new ways of thinking, by not being afraid of talking about our gifts and what genuinely happens as they're awakening.
I mean,
Sam, you work with a lot of clients. Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah. So, your clients, have you had any clients that have been experienced the intuitive dissident, where they could see everything and they were having issues trusting their heart and their head?
I can't. You know what? I haven't had like a personal one-on-one that really right now stands out of having this. Um, I mean, definitely a
Uh-huh.
day since we're like a class. We haven't nobody's brought up this topic yet. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's just that this topic wasn't brought up. You okay, Heather?
Oh, hang on. We buffering. 1 second. Yeah, we did. We were buffering for a second. I can
Okay.
cut this out. I can cut this part out. We're good.
Oh, good. It's just I just see
Hang
energy
on.
like ooh lines.
We good. Hang
On
on.
the
Let from century, remove from stage. There we go. We good. We back. We have a little bit of retrograde technical difficulties, you know,
shout
going
out.
into wah, 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 okay. So we were talking about clients that have had issues with that. For me, I have just because I tend to come across a lot of people that have gone through similar experiences, or I've gone through the experience right before they did. Now, one specifically is my sister, and she's also a manifester. And I have to remind her to watch what she says based on what she feels, because her words and actions are intervening in the way it's naturally supposed to play out. Meaning, because with her influence, if she's in a bad mood, then that's going to bring energy in, right? It's going to take away from.
Gotta suck it in.
Yes. Yes. So it's all of these things that, and if she adds positive words, then it basically works really well for her. But I have to remind her, like, hey, you have control over this. And it's because you see what's going on, yes. But just because you see doesn't mean that you can control, because you're seeing because, well,
she's seeing
she would get angry over it. She would get angry.
Well, the thing is, I wanted to say your words are your wand, so they do manifest.
Yes.
And all manifest. So that doesn't mean that you can't. We're human. It doesn't mean that you cannot clean them up. You can very much, using spiritual tools to redirect what your energy vibration meant, right? But
yes,
if you want to experience, we are all experiencing abundance. If you want to experience abundance of being depressed, then you will, because there's abundance of it.
What you focus on, you become.
Yeah. If you want to feel abundance of, of happiness, you will. If you want to experience abundance of anger, you will. So wherever you put it,
anything you want,
there is an abundance, an endless abundance of all experience and emotion.
Yes. But I think what happened is, though, is as kids, we saw it, we would see the truth, and it was disheartening. And we didn't learn proper ways of coping. So as an adult, it is removing those layers of programming. And we had to work on it, because she was angry at other people, but it was manifesting in other ways in her life. I'm like, well, you see the truth, right? You're a true
Mm-hmm.
seer.
But
And
she didn't
now it's
there.
causing issues because you're seeing the truth. But it was just amazing how our gift can kind of implode because she's here to break the illusion, and see the truth, but she is allowing it to stay with her. And she's what the best way is, they say that you have to be a part of the experience and love the experience and be grateful for it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's hard when you're in a different vibration. And I get it because I've been in, yeah, yeah,
I see
yeah.
the
And then the next, yeah. And then the next one is the visionary. And I would say this, you and I definitely have this because you see trajectories, timelines, and futures. You know where things are going long before the world catches up. We're years in advance. And your inner sight is expansive, sweeping, and often futuristic. Now, the shadow with this, though, is what Samantha, you and I talk about it all the time. A lot of people think that you're dismissed as unrealistic, dramatic, catastrophic, or
or,
catastrophizing everything.
or that
Um,
is crazy.
that was hang on. It goes by that. Hang on. It's down a little bit further. Your
They,
visions overwhelm them.
yeah,
That you
that's true.
overwhelm them.
They think I'm
And
really incredible, or they think I'm crazy.
yeah,
There's no
it's
like,
because they shut
gray.
down. Yeah, no one understands. No one understands the
You
visionary. And
understand. You
yeah,
understand.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, because how many times do we talk about, well, as soon as we get in this pond, we're swimming, and people think that we're aloof. And it's not that. It's just you
True.
already know where we're going, so you're comfortable with what's going, with where we're headed.
Yeah.
Hang on, my pup star. Hi. Ah, thank you, babies.
Visionary is
Now,
about their vision.
hey, Bella. Thank you, baby. She'll stop. Okay. So now, it overwhelms a lot of people, the visionary, because I talk about my visions all the time. I actually remember, Bella, stop it, babe. A while back, I was talking about my political views and stuff like that. And one guy was like, "You're completely crazy." I was like, "Really?" I was like, if that, and it just made me realize we were not in alignment
Yes.
because he was stuck in fear, and I'm then that futuristic, expansive, beyond, like, man, like, if we all stay in fear, we're all going to be in this boat sinking together. Like, someone's
Well,
got to,
I
which
want
is
to
okay.
experience what I want to experience. I don't want to experience fear my whole line here.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I did that in
Yes.
my childhood. I'm not doing that in my adulthood.
Well, we're not meant to. We're not
Yeah.
meant to. And that's why we experienced it in the childhood. So that way we have enough experiences to know what not to do and to be able to help people get
Yeah.
out of the places where we've already been through, which is beautiful.
So I was
Now, when we embrace it, the visionary becomes the seer of possibilities.
that's what's up. Yeah, that's when it comes really magical. The synchronicities and your manifestations, when you see them in the physical, you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
more of that. That's
Yep.
and you're smiling because
Yeah.
you understand. You have been received your manifestation.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the strategist.
Yes. You're the magician.
Yeah, you created it. You're the innovator. You brought that into your future. Yeah. Yep. And you're an embodiment of that too. And what you're doing is bringing new ideas, concepts, materials to the 3D. Now the third one, boom. Okay, there we go. The third one is the shadow reader. Ooh, now this one, this is probably this one is Samantha, this is definitely Doctor Strange. You know, you have X-ray emotional vision, so you see the fractured behind the smiles, unspoken words, and hidden intentions. Now, I'm going to be honest. There are people specifically designed to be able to fly under the radar for you to specifically pay attention to. Even if you do have X-ray, we all have
this would be where
a time where we are tested and reminded human and that we need to be humble. So, but you read the undercurrents of people's souls with startling accuracy. And they say that this stems from childhood, usually where one or both parents, there was two things. Usually your childhood was chaotic and one of your parents was usually emotionally unregulated. And part of what you were doing is you learned this gift in order to be able to read the emotions in the room so that you would know how to act and react. It's a gift, but it also can be hyper intensified because of your upbringing. And if you go look at the astrology chart, girl, it's all in there. Every one of us have childhood shit to activate these gifts. Promise. I'm like, wow.
Our childhood.
Yeah. And yeah. Well, that's a part of how we activate it. Like on our journey through the individuation process, which is basically recognizing what our soul fragments are, integrating them, and then finding wholeness. It's a whole life process.
Absolutely.
Now the shadow obviously is isolation. And again, this is my favorite because people call me intense or accuse me of making stuff up and it'll wind up playing out. And if you speak the truth directly, the others feels exposed and pull away. So you really have to be the observer, not the judger with these gifts. Has that not been your experience, Sam? You've literally had to become the third eye eagle perspective in order to be able to actually embody them, because as soon as the judgment comes into play, kind of takes the gift away.
Souls will. So Heather and I are supposed to help. Our mission, part of our mission is guiding and not being a judger, right? So if we put the lights on, well, then the roaches are going to scatter. And I'm not calling people roaches. I'm just saying, if we come in and expose the light so powerfully, they're going to run from us.
Yeah, so and they do.
We have to go in with a flashlight.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a good example. So one day I went into an old bar because I was just like, I just want to listen to some music. I don't want to go drink. I don't want to do any of that. So I was just in this cute little dress, and this guy looked at me and he was like, "You don't belong here, do you?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I grew up here. Who says I don't, I can fit into any place that I want." And he's like, "You don't belong here." And I was like, "You might be right." I was like, energetically, I'm not judging. Yeah, but it was because, part of my journey is recognizing that, it was just, anywho, he kind of was like, "You don't belong here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't."
See your vibration at a higher energy, and he was like, you ain't supposed to be here, lady. I think we're buffering again, Heather.
Yeah, and it was, and I was like, yeah, you might be right. You might be right. And I already felt awkward, because I don't usually go out and I'm trying to do new things. And the thing is, it was the old facet of Heather, the ego, like, well, you can go do the things that you used to do. It's like, no, you don't, because you're just not in alignment. You just don't feel good
Yeah,
at those places anymore. And they
that's
don't feel good to me. You know what I mean? They don't feel good to me.
yeah. But you got called out, Heather.
All right. Now, right. Now, when in balance, though, the shadow reader becomes a deep healer, a truth teller, and the one who can see what must be transformed before real connection can occur. So, this is where the real alchemy begins. And this is where a lot of shadow workers will tell you, hey, there's a lot of gifts in your shadow. Like, actually, that is where you have to seek wholeness. Like,
Absolutely.
that is hands down. When
Your
I
shadow,
saw my shadow face to face, that was scary.
your shadow is your friend, the messenger. Like, let's do this. Like, let's tag team and do this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But there was the thing is I was so afraid of it, but it wasn't anything. It was just a facet of myself that I was angry because I overgave. That was it. It was something simple, but I was pissed.
It was
It
a fact.
wasn't just mild. It was well, okay. So one fun fact: when we're upset, we take short, shallow breaths. Our exhales get stuck in between our sacral chakra and our solar plexus. Hence is why we get inflammation and we start swelling in our belly region. It's because all of that energy and that fire that we're not releasing
Yes.
stores in our body.
Mm.
So hang on,
Nice.
Sam, because
Fun
I
fact.
can't hear you real quick. Okay, now,
You want to go?
choo. Now the next one is the symbolic started at when I was a kid. So the symbolic dreamer is your mind speaks in symbols like birds, floods, thresholds, portals, wormholes, astral projecting,
Yes.
family coming when they're passing.
Yes.
These are all symbols or dreams that are prophecies, metaphors, and coded messages. And they help navigate through imaginary intuition and mythic meaning. Now, for me, when I have an energy coming up, because I read astrology, I will get prophetic dreams. And one of them, and it's like every year, like every August, I'll get a damn premonition of what the annual forecast is. I just got the download. That's what it was. Um, One year, I had a repetitive dream where the world was ending, and I finally surrendered. And I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna die. I'm gonna just
Yes. Trust the
I'm
process.
gonna come right back, and it's gonna be okay." So I surrendered, and never that dream again because it was a process, and I had to surrender.
That's what.
So it was this crazy weird dream. Um, and then I had one where I had a dream that a hotel had flooded and then a friend's apartment flooded because we had a sacral connection and stuff like that. And I'm like, dang. Um, and then I had another one around my birthday that I was basically on top of a dark building and they were telling me to jump. And I'm like, I don't want to jump. It's far. It's, and I don't, like all of the, I don't know what. And as soon as I jumped, it literally was like a micro step and then it cleared up.
Bam.
So my guys are like,
it made the room
what
dark.
It was showing is the collective is going to go.
You were safe.
Yeah, well, and what it was reminding me is that because I am going through the awakening with the collective too. Okay, so that's why I really, with my Pisces moon, I have to really cut out everyone else's ish, because if I'm not careful, I'll swim with them. But what it's showing me is what's going on, I think, kind of in my path, but also it was just showing me like it's going to be okay. It's like, and this year it says my astrology is beautiful chaos. Like I'm the calm in the storm, and I'm like, okay, I get it. It's that way. Gracefully though, it is.
Yeah.
So what have been some of your premonitions that you've had, Sam?
Ooh, where do I start? When my guest first came on, I remember, and I'll just share one because you can get lost. You can share so many of these, but my gifts were highly activated. They showed me in a car, and at the time, my best friend drove the car, and I was in the passenger seat. There was a guide in the back seat, but I couldn't see them. I just saw them as a shadow. And we are going uphill. So that when you're going up, you're climbing new heights, right? So we're going up the hill, and then all of a sudden we stop, and there's this stream, right? Stream, fluid, water, right? Source, right? And in this stream were all these magical creatures I've never seen on Earth, but they were fun and they were bright, and there were abundance of these creatures or magical mystic creatures that I've never seen that made me feel good and happy. And then all of a sudden, it's like we couldn't cross across the stream. Like they needed to be a bridge there, right? And somehow, I don't know how we crossed, but we crossed. And they opened up a gate with us. And for that, symbolizing was, and also when I looked down the stream with all these beautiful, magical, abundant creatures, there was somebody that was a shadow watching from a distance.
Oh, wow.
And I was never, I didn't feel scared or anything. It was just saying how I was being guided. Because there was somebody behind me guiding me, and somebody on the top of the mountain observing me and watching me, right?
Yeah.
And without my knowing, because trusting the process very much so in the physical, I got across that magical, beautiful, mystic river of these animals. I guess you would call them animals. And I made it across. So that was one of my first awakening dreams, or into, or foreseeing what was coming in.
Yeah. So more or less, the shadow of this is people mock you for being too imaginative or weird, or they say that you're too fantastical, or you're out of touch. So did you experience during your awakening process?
So
how did
I'm going to make light of spirituality. I think it's so important. Your imagination is what taps you in to this, to higher dimensions, to your spirit guides, to your psychic abilities. So definitely have fun and play with those. But I just want to say something that's funny, because I used to work in a major hospital. And I had the best coworkers. They loved hearing my stories. Like I said, they either thought I was very, very psychic or crazy, but either way, they enjoyed it as their entertainment. And I enjoyed it too, sharing, because I'm like, I can't make this up, right? So some entertainment, and then I mean definitely some were like, whoa, what's up with that girl, right? So
Until you start doing the truth bomb on them, and then like, all right, let me just
oh,
back up a damn
oh
quarter
Lord.
because that's usually what it is.
I would play jokes back. I would play jokes. I'm like, you like, you know, like what's that behind you? And they'd be like, and I just want to cliff notes. So in this department, we went out for a Christmas party, right? The holidays are right here coming, right? Thanksgiving's next
Yeah.
week. And everybody, we all went out for, I forgot, it doesn't matter, lunch or dinner, right? And we are off the clock and we're all having our Christmas party. And everybody's drinking but me because I don't drink, and that's okay. And um, fast forward, my boss, my big boss, right? He he loved to hear my stories, but he would say, I would tell him, I'm like, disclaimer, I don't drink. And he said, that's why I do believe you, because you don't drink and do drugs. So all my coworkers, he said he believed me because I don't drink and do drugs, and they're aware.
Yeah, that's, and that's,
If I did drunk or did drugs, other people would be like, nah, she's high.
she's on drugs.
She's on drugs,
Yes.
right?
Well,
But I'll never forget shout out to my old boss, Antoine, because he was like, I believe it because you don't drink or do drugs.
yes. Uh, yeah. And basically, when you start opening up to these gifts, you normally go through a process of doubting your inner world, disconnecting from your greatest source of intelligence, because you go into overwhelm. And they don't tell you about this, which is necessary that you understand that this is normal. It's
Very
normal when you're activated and you're going through these experiences. This is normal. And, it's a lot of people, but it's not normal. It's not normal for us not to normalize what our divine birthright gifts are.
right.
And,
And
and to dismiss them.
and Heather, they're gonna come in like very bizarre, supernatural. People that are not on your frequency are gonna look at you like you got three heads on your shoulders.
Oh, I already do.
I know.
Well, my guys, okay, so I had a conversation about kind of how do I teach on all levels? And my guys are like, nah, don't. They're like, no, you are a resonance frequency. You are not you're to teach everyone and to relate to everyone, but you're not to slow down your methodical thought process in order for everyone else, because we are the futuristic. We're living in the future. So if I lack of better words, take myself down to that level to slow down. So it's like, no, you either catch up and you know what I mean? Like, cause I was asking, cause I speak fast. I'll give you an example. I speak fast, you know what I mean? And my guys were like, that's a part of who you are.
Perfect.
Anyone that resonates with you and our frequency with you, they'll be okay with that.
So we are more energetically, more in the future, right? At a higher vibration. So like when I'm teaching class and somebody is maybe not at my level, it's important that I validate them in their experience, because I had those experiences, but I'm tapping into higher wisdom that they're not tapping in yet, so I can validate them.
Okay, well, that's the best. Okay, well, thank you, because that was kind of, I guess, what I was trying to get at is like, we're more of a validating, like we can't slow down our process, but we can validate like, hey, this is a part of the process. And once you get to this certain threshold, then it's going to super speed and amplify. Like it's going to be like whoosh, like it did with you. Like once it was on and you got to a certain alchemical threshold, that was like, all right, full throttle, it's on.
Boy.
Boom.
Yeah.
Mine was 2 or 3.
What planet am I on right now? And you do travel to different planets.
Yeah.
I'm an example when I went to Mind, Body, and Soul. This is before Sam's Super Gifts came on, right? And I remember I was going in line. I was going to stand in line to get an aura reading. And this lady around there just pulls out a picture, starts talking to me. She's like, do you see these aliens in the picture? And I'm looking at her like, she is badass crazy, right? And I'm like, she crazy, right? Until it happens to you and you really do see them. You know what I mean? So I in that looking at somebody else with 3 heads and thinking they're crazy. And now I'm the crazy. So
yeah.
I
get it. I mean, trust me, I get it all the time because some of the stuff I see, I'm like, I don't even question it anymore. Like when people, like I don't even question it. And I think a part of going through the shadow is actually finding those facets. So once you do see, you see with divine clarity and truth, and you see that anytime that you're not truthful in your own paradigm or your own trajectory, it only hurts us later on. You know what I mean? Like any decision that's not made from the heart or so most people mock them, say they're fantastical. Now the destiny though, when honored, like Sam was saying, the symbolic dreamer becomes the bridge between 2 worlds. They're the intuitive storyteller, Sam with their 3 heads, creative visionary, or the spiritual interpreter who turns imagery into sight.
Yes.
Now the next one is the inner alchemist. Now this is the one, Sam, that I think would be the best fit for our conversation about my sister and about how what we speak is what we create. Because some people are in the constant state of transformation, meaning this type goes through cycles of death and rebirth, identities, careers, relationships, and versions of themselves. I know for me, I have this because it's in my gene key. And just from my past experiences, I knew that my first portion of my life, I was going to struggle with my own power and my own identity. But once I got into my North Node, which is when you're 44, that would all change. And it's the Phoenix archetype. But I've always gone through death and rebirth ever since I was younger. You know what I mean? Like some of the things that I would just give up, people are like, what? And some of the things that happened to me, like I would have 4 or 5 things that were debilitating, whereas most people would, like one of them would, emotionally, so I'm like, dang. So
I mean, and then every time you rebirth, you level up. You're a different version of yourself where you're able to expand. Yes.
And you can't go back to the old version. That's the thing, is you can't go back, and you try. And that's when you feel that discomfort. Like, well, I felt like when I went back to that bar and the guy was like, hey girl, you don't belong. Like, not being mean, but
you stick out and you definitely not, their vibe is not connecting.
Yeah. And I got what he was saying, and it wasn't anything bad because I'm like, and it wasn't anything bad, but I understood what he was saying is vibrationally, you know what I mean? He can see that my vibration was obviously not on the level. But my old version of myself was like, but I can go anywhere. not realizing that when I go anywhere, remember my Pisces moon would absorb my environment. Why the hell was I reacting? Because the environment I was in.
Makes sense.
So it's like,
And because of my childhood, like just like the transformation of the cycles of death and rebirth and identity, career, relationship, because my childhood, like I was exposed to a lot of trauma. I was exposed to a lot of drugs and alcoholism. I was exposed of not having a safe foundation and having both parents. I was exposed to so much that change is very easy for me. I am scared of change because it just was constant in my childhood.
I don't mind change either. How many schools did you go to? A bunch of schools, or did you go to the
Yes.
same school?
I can
Okay,
remember
I did.
fifth grade year, I went to 4 different schools, like 3 different states.
I went to 3 different schools in 5th grade. I don't know what the hell it is about 5th grade, but
plus 5th, right? 5 change, right?
Oh, yep.
So
yeah.
and
I went to 12, 13 different schools, I think, total throughout my whole.
And then my change in environment in just 1 year was so opposite because my mom met my stepdad in Alaska, which I live in a very rural area of Alaska with my grandmother, North Pole, Alaska, and no paved road, right? And it's called in the bush. Like my neighbors, like you don't see your neighbors, right? You have 5 neighbors on your gravel road, right? Your neighbors are basically the moose, okay, that come in your garden and eat your cabbage. But what I'm trying to say is my mom met my stepdad in the military in Alaska, which who he was from south side of Chicago. So I went from Alaska to the south side of Chicago in the hood, seriously in the hood, where I was exposed to aggressive energies, manipulation, and violence. I remember me and my brother being apart, and I get the nose chop off. Like just took out his knife and chopped off somebody's nose, or the gangbangers being aggressive to my brother because we were picking garden snakes by abandoned building and they wanted it. And then they got divorced, so I left the hood and went back to Alaska in the woods. So two opposites, right?
Yeah, that's like definitely. I mean, I had a similar experience. So I lived in a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood, and I moved to a predominantly African American neighborhood. And but you know what though? I'll tell you what, taught me a lot because Angela and her grandmother, Angela was my little best friend. And what was funny is I did the talent show in 5th grade. And I guess on stage, I was telling my parents, like, yeah, this is my little black friend, Angela. Because I didn't know any different, but it was so innocent. And I just felt so welcomed. And but my grandparents were telling me this story, just telling me just like how I was just on stage because I didn't know, I didn't know. And I was like, yeah. And of course they would like, hey, this is my white friend Heather. So I didn't know the difference. You know what I mean? It was whatever. Anyway, so they took me to church. And they let me sing in choir and stuff. And the ladies just made me feel so welcomed. And I really needed that at that time in my life because, like my grandma was always the community grandma, but she was mean, not mean, but just like, I don't know, like
grandma
Her and
vibe.
I never got along. There was just her and I just always had some tiff with each other, and but they just made me feel right at home, and I loved it, and it really changed my perception. And also with going through my past lives, I'll never be prejudiced again because I'm a white woman because I didn't like white people. So I can't be prejudiced no more. Yeah, I've been Asian, I remember, because I was Japanese. I've been Native American, I've been Peruvian, I've been African, I've been
Yeah.
all of them. And the one thing that I noticed is I yeah, I'm a white woman because I was pissed at the white man in my last lifetime. So be careful what you hang on to and what you wish for, because you might get it into the next lifetime coming near you.
Yeah. Well, we're supposed
Oh,
to experience that so we can be empathetic,
yeah. Well,
So
and I'm a life path 8, and I knew that I was supposed to alchemize all of these past lives. Like once I started the process and I understood the assignment, it got easier. It
yes.
did. It got easier. Now the next one we have is we're talking about the
That-
alchemist. Now, people assume that they're dramatic or unstable, but they're actually metabolizing life at a deep soul level. So the danger is burning out, or losing themselves in perpetual reinvention. And it does. Like eventually it's good until, like, let's be honest, we all phase out. We are human.
Everything.
um, yeah. Now, once they're grounded, the inner alchemist becomes the master of transmutation, guiding others through darkness and to rebirth, like what Samantha and I do. So it's something that you have to learn to overcome and embody in order. And we all are the inner alchemist. And we've
Yeah.
all been alchemizing since 1989, since the Great Awakening, great shift occurred. We've all been going through a slight alchemical process. And you've seen it speed up over the past year. And we're going to see it amplify with the energies, but we all signed up for it though.
Yeah.
We all are here to be a part of this great change. And then you
Absolutely.
have the last one, the pattern decoder. Now, this one is their mind is a precision, very precise instrument. Now, they see patterns in subtle rhythms, inconsistencies, synchronicities, things that others might miss. And they
Yeah.
can trace cause and effect with uncanny clarity. Now, with me, I will see something and then all of a sudden my guys will prove it. They'll send it in threes. And usually the third time I'm like the first time is like, well, you saw it, didn't you? Second time's like, it's there. Third time it's like, you better dress it or you're gonna you know what I mean? It's like
Mhm.
that. Because
The pudding.
sometimes with me being a Virgo, sometimes if I'm not paying attention because I'm going too fast, I miss stuff, you know? Or
Hmm.
my Pisces, my Virgo's like the tortoise. It's like, let's look at everything. So what is so what kind of patterns do you usually does your skills and your gifts, what pattern recognition do you normally recognize
Well,
and
because
comment?
my highly sensitive to energies, I mean, I could feel when guys are shifting in my frequency, right? Like today, I only had a female guide with me, and
Mm-hmm.
you're able, your sensitivity level of receiving information heightens, where you're like, you just know that you just got a download of wisdom,
Yeah.
right? You don't see it, you just feel those frequency changes. It's like if I'm doing a reading, it is a feeling of a higher perspective of knowing without a doubt energy is changing. So I'll know, like if I'm talking to somebody's loved one and they're about to shift and another energy is about to come in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Higher level of subtleties, that a rhythm that you can feel that is natural. Maybe in the right, a lot of people are learning to recognize those energies again with clarity.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's basically getting that wisdom and knowing and that was one of the things I was learning to recognize is trusting what you know.
Correct.
Because of the pattern recognition. Now, one of the shadows is you're accused of overthinking. I'm constantly, and I admit that is one of my shadows. Just in my, I overthink or I shut down. I have to be real careful of that.
And I'm the opposite. I don't overthink.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, that's the Virgo.
that's different.
Yeah, that's the Virgo though. Analysis paralysis is Virgo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to just flow down the lazy river, and I trust the process.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've had to learn to do is trust the process.
Yeah.
Because if not, people misunderstand me as anxious, obsessive, or too much in my head. Now, the real danger is cognitive exhaustion from noticing everything. And this is, Samantha's called me out on it a couple of times. She'll be like, Heather, you're moving. And I have to go ground myself because I've come to realize when I'm doing that is I'm automatically alchemizing the energy in the room, or I've been alchemizing too much energy and I'm not grounded. I've come to, because I've asked myself, because I was like, why would I do that? And it goes,
you can release it too while you're clearing it up.
Well, that's what I'm doing. So what I was guided is that when my soul is moving, it's alchemizing. And it's doing it naturally. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. But I was like, but I recognize when I do it though now. And I do. I would wonder why I was exhausted. It was because I was just sucking up all the energy in the room. All right. Now the destiny. So when they're refined, the pattern decoder becomes the clarity bringer, the analyst, the healer, the strategist, or the intuitive who perceives the truth woven between the chaos, which brings us to closing reflection. Now, these 6 gifts are not flaws. They are high frequencies, cognitive patterns that often go unrecognized, unguided, or invalidated in childhood, which is why their shadows develop first. So, which is why everyone was like, "Oh, we had so much trouble." We always have that one thing of confusion, chaos, usually when we're younger, and usually,
Unstable.
Yeah. And it's a higher frequency gift now, but the moment these gifts are named, honored, and consciously claimed, the mind stops being the enemy and becomes the compass of the destiny. And then you can start working towards your dharma because we're not creating karma with our shadow. And when you're going through the awakening process, you are going to absolutely face your shadow 100% during the process. It doesn't have to be that bad. I recommend breath work and I recommend fire breathing because that will release all that energy we talked about that gets stored between the sacrum and the diaphragm that gets stuck there. If you go and do that for about 5 minutes, that will release all of that stored energy. And you're doing several out breaths and you're releasing all that energy that's been stored, because what we don't realize is we inherit our mother's rest and breath pattern until we learn to develop our own.
That makes sense.
So that's a lot right there.
We're in our mama's womb, right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes
We
sense.
we inherit her rest and breath. So if mom was stressed, that means that your rest and breath patterns are going to be in a fight or flight or the sympathetic system. And you have to reprogram and retrain your parasympathetic system, which is your rest and breath, to turn on and allow healing to take place. So it's amazing how your gifts have to be, they only come online when there's enough space to turn the light on.
Man, boy, when they turn the light on, it's no joke.
You better be prepared, man, because like I remember I was like, whoa, my guys were like, nope. It was like it's already there. I was like, whoa, that was a lot.
If you remember that there are other healers, light workers, path showers like Heather and I in your community, because it's very important that we have validation and that we support each other on what we are experiencing. So make sure you reach out to Heather and I or someone in your community for that support.
Yeah, support and community is key, because I was stubborn, and a part of my growth process is I did have to do a part of my journey alone. Mm-hmm. But I'm to the point in my life now where it's not about, I can no longer go down where I'm supposed to go. I can't go it alone.
Yeah.
I can't do it alone.
We're stronger together.
Yeah.
We are stronger together.
All right. Well, that wraps up our 6 gifts now.
Heather, let's remind to like and share our videos. When you do that, when you like and share Heather and our videos, please share it with somebody that you believe is going through awakening, that needs that support and love and community. And the more that you share, the more that Heather and I can help and guide and plant seeds for the consciousness highest good.
Yes. Awesome. Amazing. Now, just keep in mind, you can find Samantha and I both on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. I believe you're Higher Self Healing on all 3 platforms. Is that correct?
TikTok, I am actually at 77 Aura Healer.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
We are working on our YouTube channel for Cosmic Chix.
Yeah. So we will have a Cosmic Chix YouTube channel, and maybe eventually we will have our own TikTok, because we'll have our own shorts, our own shorts.
You from New Jersey now?
Yes, my Jersey girl's coming in.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and when did we want to do our next one? So did we want to do Sundays? Did we want to move it to Sundays instead of Thursdays? Does that work for you? Or which day we want to do it?
That sounds great, Heather.
Okay. All right. But we'll keep you posted on the next date. We will clarify because we're going to keep it consistent. We're working on our technology. We're getting there. Round of applause on that. We only had a few technical difficulties. We are at the mercy of, technology and things like that. We just have to give it grace as well. And big shout out to
energies with it. Yes.
Yes. And don't forget, check out our pages, which shows all of our services and the upcoming events, workshops, and where you can purchase some of our products at. And with that said, we'll leave you guys with that. And
peace and
one
namaste.
love. Yes. Have a great day.
Love you.
Yes. All right.